everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Royal LePage Binder Live. This is one of my favorite shows, live streams to do with our audience on Royal LePage Binder's Facebook page and on my Facebook page, because there's a lot to unpack each and every month about where we're going as a region in terms of our real estate market for buyers and sellers. This is how we sort of break down those numbers that come out on a monthly basis. And we're taking a look at the month of October. And joining me is my friend, Mr. Frank Binder, who is our owner and broker of record. Always good to see you, Frank. And thank you so much.
Good afternoon. How are you
today?
Always good to see you.
Yeah, always
absolutely.
good to see you, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, Frank, because this has been an interesting year yet again, and certainly an interesting month in October. The stats came out overall from a high-level view. With your experience, sir, what do you make of the numbers? What's your biggest takeaway so far?
Well, basically, it continues to be stable. So we've got a robust situation. And what the biggest takeaway that I can give everybody is that we're a little bit unusual in the sense that we've got increased listings, which is not happening in the rest of Ontario. So our listing supply continues to be excellent in terms of having available product for people to select from. And so what we're not seeing now as a result of that is a real boost in price. We're getting a slight boost in price, just ever so slight, but it's not dramatic as we've seen in the past. And that's an excellent thing for us because we've got a robust, we're having both sales and listings happening at the same time. Other areas are not getting listings and prices are still escalating. And that's a bit of a difference between us and many other major cities in Ontario. Now, so you're going to see here where you've got just a very small percentage, not even 0.5% increase in the month overall between September and October. And basically what happens is that it's just what we see mostly happening with our pricing. If we talk about the number of houses over and under, basically what happens is that much of the trading, almost 1/3 of this last month's trading, was between $450,000 and $650,000 in those categories. So we had a good percentage of that happening in that mid-range. We don't have one like the upper range pulling the prices up or any of that type of thing. A lot of trading going on in that midsection. Very healthy. That's a very healthy market. That's where a lot of people want to be, and that's a great sign. Great sign. We're having robust sales still, and we're having enough listings to meet the supply needed to meet the demand. So that's a good thing. All good. Sorry, I don't hear you right now, Arms. I'm sorry.
Here. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. Sorry about that, Frank. You'd mentioned before, Frank, that other areas don't necessarily are seeing actually a dip, but Windsor still remains to be on that sort of even playing field, if not. So that's got to be attractive for folks looking to maybe settle in our region. We talked about this many times on the show before about the benefits of this area.
Yeah, you're hearing it all over the province where there's the supply side just not there. You're not getting houses that being put on the market. And basically the listing stock, as they call it in many of the boards across Ontario, are just really very low. And so that means selection's just not there. And that's a real problem. Yet we're having slight increases in our listings, ever so slight this month. It's only about a little over 2%, mind you. But still, that's really the other ones are negative. They're sometimes in double digits, where they've dropped in terms of compared to last year. And we're not doing that, and that's a real good sign. That keeps things basically where they're at, and where the prices are much more predictable. We don't have fluctuations, huge fluctuations in price. We're seeing some multiple offers, but not crazy, not silly things where you're getting 25 offers on the property now and that kind of thing. So that bodes well for those who are trying to find houses, because we understand how frustrating it is for buyers trying to find a house in the market that we've been through. It's been a seller's market, and it's been very, very difficult for so many sellers to come up with a house. Right now, good time to shop.
Yeah, and it's it'll be an interesting month in November for sure, as we sort of get ready for the season of winter as well, and taking a look at some of those units sold by price range too. This is an interesting graph as well to see month over month.
Yeah, I mean, what do you see there? I mean, it's almost equal, right? So, and that's a really, really important thing for us to realize that because of that, I don't want to call it static, but it's very stable. The word really to be used is stable. We've got a lot of activity under and a lot of activity over, and it kind of balances out. So what you're seeing is a very balanced situation at the moment, where you've got activity in both sectors of the market, if you want to call it that, and that's kind of balancing out all the activity that we've got. We don't have we've lost a lot of the high priced homes. They've evened out. It's been static for the last 2 or 3 months as well, and so we don't have that high price range pulling this up and that type of thing. So we're not seeing that either. So it's good. It's really good solid activity, robust, provides for a robust market. That's exactly what we want to see.
You know, what's interesting about this too, and if you're just joining us, maybe watching the rebroadcast on YouTube, this is our monthly market update with our owner and broker of record, Mr. Frank Binder from Royal LePage Binder Real Estate. Happy to have him and get his insight on the numbers that continue to come out on the monthly basis for the Windsor Essex area. You know, Frank, bring up some other stats that have come up from the month of October. I know this is something that we post on our social media pages, and we talk about these numbers too. But I mean, some of our areas in the Windsor area proper, not just Windsor, LaSalle, and Tecumseh, including Amherstburg and Essex, continue to get those big climbs in terms of the increase in average price, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, each area is a little bit different. So you're going to have slightly different varying numbers there. You see, look at Leamington, where they've got a 30% increase in Wheatley, of all places, having a 44%. What we're seeing is a lot of things happening in Chatham, Kent right now, where they're really seeing the spikes that we saw a while ago. We've kind of arrived at kind of a leveling off, so to speak, of it. But those areas are really, really picking up. And why? Because their average price is in the fours, right? Their average price across the board is the $450,000 range. So they're well behind us, and so that's an attractive place to go. And if you can go there and move there, people are moving there as well, and they're attracting people from out of town into that area at this present time. So places like Wheatley, they're on the outskirts of Chatham, Kent, and so they're seeing spikes in their level because their price ranges were lower, and so you're going to get that increase in price. Leamington's seeing the same thing. We've got to remember that Wheatley and Leamington and that area out there are agri areas. They're slightly different. They don't act in the same way that Windsor does necessarily, where we're more auto manufacturing, that type of thing. So it's a bit of a different market there, and we'll see different swings. They will not be done in concert with each other in that sense of the word. So we've got to recognize that there are differences in market even within Windsor Essex County.
Frank, I wanted to get your opinion on something too. You know, you talk about the different markets, and certainly our region is known for the automotive. Coming out of Stellantis and that headwind coming in terms of the eliminated shift at Chrysler plant, Stellantis, whatever you want to call it too. What's your take on that news coming out of that particular sector and how that bodes either well or bad for our area?
Well, it doesn't bode really well for the area in any sense of way. We can't take any positives out of it, albeit the positives could be, a couple of years from now. So the bottom line is that I think this is a necessary thing that they're doing. If indeed they're going to get $1.5 billion into the plant and make the changes that they have to, it takes time to do those things, and that's going to be part of the process. In terms of our obviously our situation is that those particular buyers that would have worked there aren't buying anything next year. So you're taking some buyers out of the market. There's no question about it. The important thing for us to know now is that the auto sector is less prevalent in terms of the effects on the housing market. We're much more diversified than we've ever been in Windsor Essex County. And so I don't want to minimize it. It's certainly significant. But the point of it is that it will probably have less effect than we would have had 10 years ago in terms of how we adapted to the marketplace when we had many of the big three operating here, as opposed to only Stellantis at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ford is still prevalent in the engine plant and everything else, but automotive sector is basically a lot of tool shops, that type of thing, who are feeding the sectors, but it's not necessarily a local market that they're feeding. Right.
Let's get to a couple of comments that are coming into the feed from Mr. Frank Binder here, joining me on the show. Always great to spend some time with him and kind of crunch those numbers that come out on a monthly basis. Sherry comments on our Facebook feed here, Frank. Are we still in a buyer's market? And if I'm buying a home now, how do I make my offer stand out in a seller's market?
I don't know if you bring the graph back up. We're definitely not in a buyer's market. Never have been for quite some time. And I don't see. I thought maybe last month when we were showing the graph, we had a 63% list to sale ratio. So if you go back to a list to sale ratio, I think you'll see the ratio for the month was 77% and 73% annualized. So we are definitely not in a buyer's market. We're still in the seller's market. Sellers are still commanding the market. But the message that I'm trying to get out is buyers can expect to have a better chance of getting a home. And the reason for that, because we're going to have less buyers buying whatever homes are, and we've got a good listing stock coming in so far. We've got a lot more listings than other markets are having, and so we're not fighting over the stock that we've got. You might have several competitors, and that's I think in a way sometimes healthy, but the sellers are still commanding the market. There's no question about that. Just from this, if you just look at the sales listing ratio, it's definitely a seller's market. Anything from 60% up is a seller's market. So that just to educate everybody, a seller's market is determined by the number of listings that are being sold. If it's over 60%, it's a seller's market. We're in the 70s right now.
Well, Sherry, thanks for the comment. Frank, thank you for answering that on our stream here for the folks that are watching as well. We talked a little bit about, the news coming from Stellantis too, but I mean, it's not necessarily, that's never great news when they talk about eliminating a shift at Stellantis, but there's some really great prospects coming down the pipeline too, right? Including, all this talk, moving to stage 2 for the new mega hospital on Walker Road and talk of the electric battery plant too.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are discussions. I don't know that we can necessarily expect those things. We certainly, I think, because we moved to stage 2 in the hospital, that's something we can likely going to expect to see in the not too distant future. Those are all things that bode they're huge for our area, and they bode well for the future. I see a very, very robust future for us in the housing business here in Windsor. And I don't see that's going away. And will there be a correction potentially? Economics could come into play. We're not sure where the economics will go. Now we're seeing some inflationary headwinds there too and stuff like that. So it's hard to point it out. Are we due for a correction? Probably are, albeit I don't think a substantial correction. I think in my estimation, I think we're roughly going to be looking at maybe 10% in 2022. And I think that's just part of our business. You're going to have it going one way for a while, and then maybe it's going to subside a bit. But it's just a bit of a correction. I don't see it with the interest rates being where they are, that we won't have a lot of people wanting to buy as long as they can deal with the affordability issue that they personally will have. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's interesting too, Frank, going over some of the numbers before we came on live here, we've got over 600 houses currently listed here, right? Yeah. So, to take it from that positive spin, again, if you're looking to buy, you have choices here in Windsor, Essex.
Yeah, exactly. You really do. And the choices are, it runs the gamut as to what's really available. If you're in that lower market, expect to have a lot of competition. If you're in that median and up market, maybe less competition. But the fact of the matter is that because of the supply side being there, we've got more choices than most other communities. So we're a little bit ahead of that in that particular thing, in that particular ability to find houses. So I want to encourage buyers, just keep looking. It will take time. It's not something that it will be frustrating to some extent. But the bottom line, as long as you stay with it, it's likely going to have a good story at the end. All right. And so that's really what it comes down to. I don't want people to give up, because I think that really, in terms of what we're seeing right now, in terms of a stable market, the chances of you getting a house are better than it was, say, at the very beginning of this year, even, for sure. No question about that.
Well, once again, thank you so much for making some time for me and crunching those numbers with us and giving us your insight on what's happened, what we can look forward to, and certainly to talk a little bit more about what people need to know when it comes to making a move. And our agents, our sales reps are ready to help folks as well. And our website, royallepagebinder.com, all sorts of information to contact any one of our number of representatives right across Windsor, Essex. So, Frank, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. It really was a pleasure talking to you, Arms.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
And I should say really quickly before you go, we're getting geared up for the holiday season. I know we're going to be launching a number of fundraising drives. We've got a couple of toy drives in the Amherstburg location, at the Leamington location, and some exciting holiday initiatives coming up. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, we're delighted to be involved with those. We've got those are planned, and we're looking forward to that. Always good to see smiles around that time of year, right? We look forward to it.
Absolutely. Frank, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Yeah, you too. Thanks, Arms.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Mr. Frank Binder from Royal LePage Binder Real Estate. Great guy, great brokerage too. If you're looking to invest, if you're looking to do a little bit of shopping for your next home here locally, or perhaps you're looking to sell as well, you can give any one of our agents a call and find out more information on our website, royallepagebinder.com. Hey, Stephen says, thanks, Frank. Thanks, Arms, for the information. Always a pleasure to have Mr. Frank Binder on the program too. So yeah, we've got a toy drive kicking off at our Amherstburg location and our Leamington location, but you can really drop off toys at any of the locations right across Windsor, Essex. And we have some exciting holiday things that are coming up on the horizon. So make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and like us on Twitter too, and get all that information for what's happening with Royal LePage Binder Real Estate here in the Windsor, Essex area. So thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week with more insight on what's happening with the real estate market. I'm Arms Bumanlag for Royal LePage Binder, and have a good one. We'll see you in the next little bit.